Hello geeks and gamers, Matt Lemke here with your gamer goggles, gamer-goggles.com, and today I have another flip through for you. This one's on Lost Treasures for Pathfinder, but before I get too carried away, I want to make sure that I do a couple things. And the first thing I want to share with you is that this video is dedicated to DR Porter, and I want to thank him for his support in our Kickstarter last year that allowed us to go to Gen Con and cover the convention. And then, speaking of Kickstarters, we are starting another one up on March 1st, so in just a couple days you'll have the ability to do that. There'll be a link on camera here in a moment that'll allow you to click and go directly to it, or open it in another window, however it gets set up. But anyway, we're going to move on and dive right into this flip-through. This flip-through is a little different than many of the flip-throughs I have done in the past. And you can see right here, there's like a chart, which there's almost always something on this page. Sometimes it's a map, sometimes it's a chart. This chart is a list of the different treasures and things that you'll find in this book and their locations in Galarian. And then you have what I consider one of the more interesting sections of the book, and that is the kind of like field reports. They even call it field reports from the Pathfinder Society, and these are on stories, legends, rumors that relate to the particular treasures that are in this book. And then they have a section on hunting treasure, and they go through different ways of finding it. Like one is common knowledge, another is research. Not all discoveries are obviously made in the field. Some are from stumbling across a text in a campaign and things like that. And they list different suggestions. For example, the difficulty of such a check may range from DC 20 of an item, which has a good has been written about, or a DC 35 or 40 for items of extreme antiquity. So it leaves some room to be desired. And then the next section is a little bit different and unique because it talks about different hoards. It's Lost Treasure Hoards, and it talks about the Azure Stone. It gives you the story behind it, and then it lists a series of different possible curses, or, well, it doesn't list the curses here, but it talks about different things. And as you move through the book, there is a map on page 6 of where the treasures are located, so they may or may not fit into your stories, or, you know, even if you just want to use these items and create your own story to them, you could do that just as easy. But all these different treasure hoards go in the order that they're on the map, numbered on the map. And then they have a small section on curses that discusses the differences of possible curses and how to infect yourself with the curse, if we will. Infect's a little bit of a weird word for that, but it's what popped in my mind. And, you know, like, for example, there's Bloodbane, which is a curse disease. DC of an 18 fortitude. The effect is when the sufferer takes piercing or slashing damage, she also takes 1d3 of bleed damage. Furthermore, the cursed individual is especially susceptible to poisons delivered via injury, taking a -2 penalty on those fortitude saves against them. Cure, it can be cured by only with a remove curse and remove disease cast within 1 minute of each other. So it's a little bit different. And then I actually think this is my favorite section of the book, which is a little bit weird for me. They have a list of some ideas for treasure chests, and some of them are really cool. And as you can imagine, if somebody is going to go to great lengths to protect treasure, they're probably going to have super cool treasure chests. I have created some treasure chests for my games in the past. Some of them were really cool. Some of them not anywhere near as cool as these. For example, which one is it? Corsair's Coffer. It's a pretty cool, large chest. It's also got the secret chest ability in it, so it has extra dimensional space in it, and it buries itself up to 30 feet in loose or soft soil like sand. And then you start moving into the lost treasures. And, you know, they have this small section that talks about making ordinary treasure special. For example, where is my favorite example? This one. Your adventure needs a key, basically, and that key is actually a longsword as opposed to a traditional key. So there's all kinds of creative ideas. You can just read through this, you know, and it spawns some ideas. And then they move into the lost treasures, which I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the lost treasures because, well, they're lost treasures and they're all interesting and unique in their way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through basic concept. I might talk about a couple of them because the rest of the book is actually pretty much on the different treasures. And there's a good bit of information on each treasure. Some more than others for obvious reasons. Some of these treasures aren't that expensive, but you know, gold value wise, like this one's only 16,000 gold. So if it was to be recreated, it wouldn't be too difficult to do. Whereas some of these hit up into the 200,000 gold range. But basically, each one has the item description, just like a magic item would, or you know, an item that's not magical. These don't all have to be magical items. And there is a small section on turning mundane items into lost treasures. And they have the construction requirements, just like you would expect from a magic item. And then they have the history, the story behind what makes the item so unique and interesting within the storyline. And then, of course, they have the legacy. And the legacy is kind of important because, for example, the astrolabes, they're a planar variety, terrestrial variety. Well, that's not actually what I wanted with the legacy, but that gives you, it shows you a little bit that there's difference. If you step over to another legacy, sometimes it'll tell you who actually owns the item or where the item can be found, because part of the legacy is where it has been and where it has become. So you go through the book, and there's all kinds of different things. I mean, there's a bamboo plant, there's a lantern that's a beacon, there's a bell, there's a praying mantis mask, there's a titan, or I should say pieces of a titan. So, I mean, there's a complete quest for an individual to find this within a greater story. I mean, there are several pieces to make this titan what it is. There's banners, hammers. Some of these, like this piece of armor here, is really cool in my opinion. It does some. It's full plate. It's adamantium full plate at that. It's a +1, and it only weighs 6 pounds. Pretty amazing. An eternal egg, that was one of the more notable ones. The axe was pretty good. Some of the swords in here are really phenomenal. I found the ghoul stone to be an interesting item. Moving along, some of these are, you know, some of these items are just fun. Obviously, they fit into somebody's campaign somewhere. Like this doll has a very cool story behind it. If you enjoy children or like children, you may be a little bit surprised. I enjoyed the story behind it because I have children. I like the Lang rubies a lot. The Lang rubies are basically rubies that where a small amount of them have, for lack of a better way to say it, been imbued with the power to plane shift. I'm not going to say that they're magical because they're mined that way. So they're like an anomaly within the gem world. And lore stones are really cool if you're playing in a skill-heavy campaign. They're not the easiest thing in the world to use, but they're cool. And even shards, like I was saying, here's a feather, and if you keep scrolling through, you'll see there's flutes. There's all kinds of different items and weapons. There's a skull. Scepter of the Arc Lords is a really cool item, but I would have to say that my favorite item, if I didn't pass it, is probably the Talmendor Blade. And real quick, just the basics on the Talmendor Blade is it's a +2 holy mithril sword, continually sheds light as a spell. While wielded, the Talmendor Blade grants the wielder night vision, or low light vision, my bad, or dark vision 60 feet if he already has low light vision, which is one of the reasons why I like it. It takes something that already the character has and it enhances it. which is something I like in magic items. Also gives +4 bonus on perception checks and +4 sacred bonus on saving throws. So, you know, certain saving throws. And then the history is pretty cool. The legacy is the blade has faced many obstacles, but may receive the subtle assistance of the sword's celestial owner. And then it's currently held by Devil's Lictor. Ontor didn't keep Telmandor's sword, but gave it to a Cornogun named Hazez Alak as payment for a series of grueling sparring sessions to challenge Ontor's knights. Now you can see the little bit of history there and how to work it into your campaign. Another cool item which I probably picked, well, of course, Wayfinder of Many Paths is a very cool item. And I passed it. There's a luck sword in here that has a very cool story that ties into the Pathfinder Society. And while it is basically it's still a luck sword, it's just kind of neat because the story behind it and how it talks about how the Pathfinder Society. Well, I want to find it before I make a mess of what I'm trying to say. So let's see here. Well, okay, I guess I'm not going to find it. I'll just keep talking about the book. So, why is this book good or bad? Well, I think the book is pretty good. I think if you're a player and your GM allows you to have certain freedoms of picking and choosing items and making items on your own or having them created or just dropping ideas, it's a great way to get some interesting ideas. Many of these ideas are things that are a little bit off the wall and different. If you're a GM, it gives you a foundation, especially if you're a new GM, it gives you a foundation on how to not so much create new items, because that's a skill and an art in and of itself, but it gives you a foundation on looking at ideas for the background of particular items or taking items that already exist and making them more unique in your campaign. Because one of the things that's brought up in here is, so what if it's a Rod of Rulership or a Wand of Magic Missiles? They don't all have to be identical. And they certainly don't all have to look identical, and they could have, as we pointed out, some other function. So it's just a good little tool. Now, if you're a serious player of the Pathfinder game world in Golarion, this is a great way for you as a GM to add flavor into your storylines. And maybe, you take something like the Scepter of Arc Lords and work it into your story. I mean, that could easily be a key on one end, another key on another end. Maybe it has to. Maybe when you put it's a key right here, you put it in the one side. When you put it in the other side, it extends into the other side, and then you got to turn it. And that's how you make the key. Or there's another part for your particular Arc Lord scepter, and that allows it to crank the doors. So there's really all kinds of ideas you can do. So thanks for watching. This has been a flip through with Matt Lemke from 3Gamer Goggles, gamer-goggles.com. And, every Thursday is RPG Day. Please stop back, subscribe to us. We do a lot of flip throughs. We actually do a lot of Pathfinder stuff. And, please subscribe to us. Leave us comments. I want to know how I'm doing. If you think there's a way to do these better, let me know. Because I want to improve. I'm here. This is a service that I give you guys. Thanks for watching and have a good day.